So sometimes these concepts can fly over my head. But that's dangerous in this case because I need to know the information that doesn't trickle down to me so that I can advocate for my children's rights. So that's the purpose of today, right? We want to know all these things. I've asked Katrina from IPSI to come here. IPSI is great with regards to training, SEN, everything regarding that. They are leading in that as far as I'm concerned. And she's obliged, and I'm really happy to have her here because I've asked her to break everything down so that we as lay people, as SEN parents, can understand everything that's happened in SEN reform so far. There's conversations about losing EHCPs. There's talk about SEN tribunals being done away with, and that's a problem because if your child doesn't get the provision that they need, that was the only impartial space whereby we could take the local authority and hold them accountable. 99% of the cases were won by the parents, which means 99% of the time the local authorities were carrying out unlawful practices. If they get rid of that, because they don't have enough money to fund it, what they're saying is, we don't have enough money for your children to access education in the same way as their peers, but you can't fight us on it. That's a problem. And we know that whatever impacts the wider majority, because the wider community are scared right now, it impacts us triplefold as SEN parents who are in the black community. Because we have various layers of systemic barriers to contend with and navigate that other people don't necessarily have. And so it's important and integral that we know the information and that we're kept abreast of things and we understand so we're ready. So that's the purpose of this. There will be a series of workshops, a series of conversations. There's going to be a lot more than just this. I'm starting the Black SEN Network. We've already established the Black SEN Politics and Parliament Steering Group because this is so important to me. We have all come together. We've all acknowledged that we are Black SEN families. We advocate for our children. What's the next step? Policy change, local, national. SEN legislation. That is where we need to be at. We need to be at these tables having these conversations, leading these conversations, not just hearing about it after the fact or just contributing to the conversation. We need to be leading. So today we're breaking everything down so that we understand so we're ready to fight for our children. That's it. That's what today is. Katrina, thank you so much.
I'm quite sick.
We don't know what's happening as far as the training. We definitely don't know what's happening as far as teacher retention. That's a massive issue. We're keeping our teachers, even the TAs, nationwide, there's less educational sites. We need speech and language therapists, we need occupational therapists. There is not enough happening as far as what's going on with the therapies, the external modalities that our children need to access. We're barely accessing them now. And now you're going to shove a whole load of children who have various support needs in a classroom with a teacher, 30 other pupils. It just doesn't really make any sense.
I think the real risk is that what we will lose is any sense of support.
So it is difficult getting one, and I know that you can actually apply for it yourself. My son has been declined his EHCP, and they've given that the SEN support. However, what happens is he's always suspended, and they've moved him out. So what they've done is like, oh, we don't want to deal with you. We're going to move you to another school. So now we're currently in the process that we're a bit scared because he could potentially be kicked out because he actually hasn't got an EHCP, and I know that. I think you're supposed to have an EHCP to protect you from not getting in. Right? So
legally,
yeah. So now I'm
effectively, if his needs are stipulated within his EHCP, right, and what they're trying to kick him out of school for is specifically as a result of his disability, that's discrimination.
Yes. But
that's another reason why we kind of hold on to things like EHCPs, especially, and I think this is really important for Black SEN parents, right? I always do this spiel, I always talk about it. Teachers are humans, just like everyone else, right? They are subjected to the same level of social conditioning as everyone else. The problem is, there is a lot of negative stereotypes regarding our children that exist, okay? Unless you're doing the work to be self-reflective and check yourself for your implicit biases, the things that you don't even recognize that you believe to be the case. You're going to use those implicit biases, you will reflect on those, and you will use them to inform the way in which you perceive behaviour.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Teachers are so quick, oftentimes, there's so much going on. They've got lots going on, there's a lot of pressure. They're going to rely on those biases that already exist in their minds, rather than considering the fact that there may be underlying need that is being expressed through a behaviour.
Yeah.
which is often the case for children with unmet need.
And also, they need to keep in mind the fact that not whatever they might tell you is not as plain as black and white.
Exactly.
So what they might write to you is not exactly how I treat them.
Exactly.
And you know, it's really bad.
That's what I
It
think.
is.
It's like same from everyone. This is why it's important for us to have EHCP plans, because it reassures us as parents that they have a standard of care while they're in the care of others other than ourselves. We know our children daily. We know them, like we know their needs every day. But if they're in another setting, it's important for us to be reassured that they're in the right standard of care. That's
And
it.
they're safe.
Yeah, they're safe.
That's priority number one.
That's it. And that's why it's important to have the individual plans in place, because it actually sets out and tailors to according to that child.
But that's hard to understand how they've declined by some.
They had an education.
No, they didn't have one. So they were meant to get an educational psychologist to go with her, and they didn't do it. They kick her out of the school, you have to get another school for her. And
then that starts that process all
and
over.
like nothing is being done now. She's on cams, and it's just like ongoing. She's self-harming, and they're not even taking nothing serious at the moment. Like I'm just on the road.
Do you guys feel like you're not being taken seriously?
No,
That's how it feels, yeah.
It's like you're not going to
I still have anything in place for her. At this other school, they said I should go to for her to do some
Is it what kind of
mentoring at the moment. And sometimes she turns up, sometimes she doesn't turn up.
Is it a
Sometimes she
pupil referral unit?
No, there's a school that gave me this mentoring group in Tottenham that she could go. She turns up when she feels like when she doesn't want to speak to anyone.
She's not getting the
when the
support that
session
she
is
needs.
finished.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Then this is the thing. When children feel safe, psychologically, mentally, emotionally safe in a space, they don't feel the need to not show up. They want to be there. That's the problem. Schools are not creating these environments for our children. It's not even just the whole curriculum actually needs to just change. The whole attitude, the whole culture that we have towards disabled people in our society, whereby it's through a medical approach, a medical lens, whereby the issue is the individual, right? And how do we fix the individual, rather than a social approach, a collectivist approach. This is a community issue. How can we look at society and change it in a way that is accessible and inclusive to every single one of us? Because actually, we all have support needs, we all have individual needs to some extent, and we should just be excluding those that have disabilities for their needs. It's not okay.
I've got a son that has autism before, so I kind of like know what it is like and stuff like that. So they kind of like shutting me down. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I've got a son that is autistic, so I know everything that's going on. I don't know because she showed a later sign as a girl.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
And that's
she
the
must
normal. Yeah, so you know that boys are more likely, just for neurodivergence in general, but autism, boys are more likely to be diagnosed, right? 4 times more likely to be diagnosed because they don't have to follow the same adhere to the same social rules as girls, right? And so we're aware of that, we're conditioned from childhood, and so we know that we have to mask. When we talk about black girls now, this is my passion. And also, by the way, I'm doing some research and carrying out research with Ambitions About Autism and UCL about masking in black autistic girls in education. I love this, it's me, it's my children, I have 3 daughters with ADHD. We mask at various levels. Masking, engaging in prolonged masking has implications for mental health. So we're looking at all these little neurodivergent children who have been received in an aversive way whenever they're showing their autistic traits. So they hide those traits. When you're a black child, by the time you're at school, you've been conditioned through cultural transmission that not all spaces are safe for you. So when you go out there, when you leave the house, you have to present yourself a certain way. You kind of have to somewhat detach from your blackness, right? To be safe in largely non-black spaces, right? So our children are, I don't know if we're doing it with our generation. For my kids, I'm like, do whatever you want to do. But for me, I knew that I had to present myself as I wasn't even allowed to wear a hoodie, right? So I was masking at more than one level. And then we're in a patriarchal society. So we're women, and we're going into the work field, and we know we have to be a certain way. We have to be arrogant. We have to make sure we're going out to get it. Like we can't just be steamrolled. So we have to. So there's several layers of masking that we're engaging in. Each one has implications for your mental health. We're looking at frequent burnout. We're looking at even
anxiety, autoimmune conditions.
Increased suicide,
autoimmune conditions.
We know this is our issues. And then we are doing this as SEN parents and balancing our needs with our children's needs. There's a whole lot that goes on that no one's really paying attention to. We have to have us. Do you understand what I'm saying? When we got us. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because no one else is coming for us. So that's why this happened today. It's so important. Yes, my lovely.
How many of you have been called aggressive?
Every day.
Yeah.
I will die for mine. I'm aggressive about mine. I'm not allowed any
And it's not aggression,
in the
it's
system.
passion.
For me, it's aggression. You know why? Because I'm not going to allow you to gaslight me into thinking that I should be taking all the systemic barriers that are against me. I won't allow it. I have 3 daughters. I can't allow it. It's aggression for me. It's well-placed aggression and it's valid. Yes, my love.
Absolutely. I have a point, but also a question. Because I think the issue with SEN is very sort of intersectional. So I have a son who's currently being homeschooled because I put him into a private school, hoping that he would get the support that he needed. So there were only 4 children in the class, included him, and they said that they couldn't do it. They said he doesn't have any needs. He's just angry.
Who said that?
The school.
But what
Special
profession
private
is it?
The head teacher said that. Yeah.
What
So I
profession
said
is
to
it?
her, no, exactly. So I said to them, look, I'm a qualified teacher. I work in secondary school. I know how the system works. I know the safeguarding policy. Show me where you follow the policy. And they couldn't show me. But rather than that, well, it's brilliant. But rather than them actually accepting that, they called social services instead.
Oh, yeah.
When it's challenged.
I mean, that's the promises on this. There are over 7,000 black SEN mums in this community. I work with so many. We do lots of work with our SEN lawyers. Let me tell you something. This push to blaming parents for the schools failing and then threatening or involving social care is not isolated. This is a commonality now. This is saying to shut up and back down. Do you understand?
And let me tell you,
Can I tell you about something that
I actually tell people to lean into social therapy. Don't be afraid. Don't hide what you're going through at home. Actually explain what your experiences are. Film your child having a meltdown that they don't have at school because they're masking. Demonstrate what you're struggling to deal with at home and how your child is suffering.
Because they won't take your
based
word
on
for
the
it.
fact that you're having to do everything at home with no training. You're having to learn on the fly. You don't have a degree in being a SEN parent. You have to learn as your child goes through every stage. You then have to change your knowledge because what a 2-year-old with SEN needs presents as is not what a 7-year-old presents as. Then if you add in hormones, if you add an influence from TV, media, friends, school, environment, they're obviously going to react to what they're seeing. So you can't be expected to be a professional SEND person if you're a parent, but then they can't do the job that they've been trained to do and they've got these specialist titles. There's all these agencies, there's all this funding. What do you have?
Yeah, but I've had social services involved. I leaned in, like you said.
Yeah.
And I've been told that she's not eligible for anything. She's perfect. I'm perfectly capable. She's perfectly capable.
But how did you get
And the advice was, go and reach out to your extended family. That was the advice. On paper.
Yeah, they tend to do that. Guys, I don't know if you're not, I think most of you are, but if you're not registered like some others, please do. So we're doing an advisory service, which is loads of professionals, educational psychologists, social workers, like you mentioned, SEN workers, advocates, and that is so that we have people on tap so the moms can access them because we don't get to sit down in front of these people. You have an hour with them for free, you can access them. This is what we're doing now because this is so important. They have the information that we need and we don't get a chance to talk to them properly. Because the thing is, we need to do away with all these myths regarding social care. Actually, we should be leading them. They're supposed to be working for us, they're supposed to be supporting us, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's been genuinely valid distrust between the black community and external interventional support.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And it's also a cultural thing.
It is.
You're not allowed to talk about your
That's
family
why
business
we're
outside
not-
your house.
Yeah.
You can't let people know what's going on in your household. So obviously you don't end up speaking out because you think you have to hide what's happening behind your door.
Exactly.
That's why I've had to encourage other mothers in a position like myself to say, reach out because sometimes it actually helps you. And it's not because some has bad experience and that's why they don't want to reach out to social workers. But I've had experience. Number one, one of my best friends is a social worker, so I've seen what she's gone through in terms of both sides, educational wise, and it's actually dealing with other families. But it's just a stigma a lot of the time.
It's nice, all our specialists are black, by the way. So if it's that cultural barrier thing, you know, and that was very deliberate. I was very meticulous. I'm always meticulous about the professionals that we use, and they are usually black SEN mums themselves because they have that insight, and they're up against the same systems as us. I don't know.
There was a time when I took him to this psychiatrist to have a session. So we was just there for an hour, and because it was like, you know, you want to kill yourself and stuff, and I was wondering because you know he's autistic, so he just spent an hour with my son, and then in the findings he told me that my son doesn't have autistic. My son is not autistic.
Is this CAMS?
Yeah, CAMS.
Yeah, CAMS are rubbish.
They're quite particular, and they don't really take kids on until they're 6, 7 as well. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Why is he a specialist? If he was an autistic, why is he
You're going for it.
He's going for it in one class? Outside work. He should be diagnosed. He should have been diagnosed at 3.
And that's another thing I think I would like to add what you just said about EHCP as well. They do let you know that, or they do try to tell you that, you have to wait for the professionals, but you can actually apply for it.
Yeah.
So I did my daughter's one by myself with the help of obviously great professionals, because there's some of them that will actually help you. They have the empathy, they have the support, and they'll point you in the right direction.
Can I add to that?
Sorry, Don, just one
No,
second.
it's
It's really annoying when, you know, you go to the professionals themselves who are supposed to put you in the right direction and they don't. You actually
We don't have capacity as much.
we don't even know what's going on. And we have to ask people like black SEN mamas, people that were going through the same situation to get the information. I think it's so wrong. And then when we do go and get those information, they slam the doors in our face a million times if we don't even have the right evidence. So go on.
I want to say as well, part of what you said, you can self-refer, you can apply as the parent with professional help. There's lots of charities. I use Carers. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Every borough should have that charity. Yeah. So, and you can apply prior to your child primary or prior to them starting school. So from nursery, you can already apply. So that, even without a diagnosis. Even without.
I would like to add, I was delayed with the EHCP and everything with my daughter because they didn't point me in the right direction on time.
I just want you to clarify about this whole myth about needing a diagnosis.
The school tell me you have to, but I told you.
So many people who should know better suggest that you need a diagnosis before your child can get any support, and that is the complete opposite of what the law says. So the Children and Families Act is really clear that support should be provided on the basis of what a child's needs are, not what's causing those needs. And you know, there are children who never get a diagnosis, but still have a whole wide range of needs. It cannot be based on diagnosis, and the law is clear that it shouldn't be based on diagnosis. And so, if there's ever an attempt to, you know, restrict support that's available on the basis of, or we're waiting for a diagnosis to come through, that's unlawful.
Exactly. And the thing is, the school still telling you it's not, and that's why. So I'm going to speak to EHCP because I really want a whole load of workshops so that we can then challenge that kind of rhetoric, right? It was you and then you. Go on.
I was just going to touch on CAMS very quickly. So CAMS, we did a Freedom of Information request to every CAMS in the UK. I'm from Autistic Inclusive Meets, my name's Emma Dalmayne. And we found that a greater number of black children were being turned away than any other race. We also found, from personal experience, that autistic kids are being turned away.
Yeah, they say that they can't support the autism.
Yeah, they'll refer them to the MASH team or the local authority. Your doctor cannot they can't provide antidepressants, they can't provide therapies, your GP cannot do that. CAMS is the only place for under 18s that you can get mental health help, and they are turning away autistic kids. My son...
That's also discrimination.
Oh yeah, of course. My son was turned away, and we've done a petition. It's got 215,000 signatures on it. He's been on Sky News talking about it. We went to 10 Downing Street and handed in a petition. Brilliant, but nothing is changing. Nothing is changing. We've got kids that are cutting, that are seriously self-harming, and they're being told they've got no mental health issues. It's the autism. But no, autism doesn't immediately come with mental health issues. It's the lack of inclusion in society that is causing our issues.
Can we do you and then you have one on that for?
Yeah, so I have a point, but I also had a question. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, so when I took my son out of the private school and I put him into mainstream school, he had to spend 6 weeks out of school, which means I had to spend 6 weeks not working in my job. So that's like money lost from private school, money lost from not working. I sent him to a regular school and I managed to do the EHCP myself. But every time he had an issue, they racialized his issue and they said actually it's nothing to do with his needs, he just treats black staff differently to how he treats non-black staff. And so his issue is he has a racial issue, he doesn't have any needs. So I say that, and this is with an EHCP, this is with a mum who works in education, who does advocacy work for young people. So my question is, how do we ensure that within the policies and the reforms and things that are coming in place, that actually they take into consideration the racialized elements? Because like some people were saying, there are cultural differences and there are ways in which black children are forced to mask that other kids don't have to do. And there are young people who are black, who are autistic, who have ADHD or whatever other need they may have. And rather than teachers or any other professionals understanding it within the line of those needs, they're just saying that they're angry, that they're aggressive, that they're rude, that they don't listen. But that those things are racialized. Calling the black child angry is a racialized problem. Right? And when I've gone to all of the different tribunals, all of the different complaints procedures, and when I tell them that it's a racialized issue, they say no, it's not.
Can I
How do we ensure that when we're talking about SEN and reform, that we also include this racial?
So this is why we have this steering group, because policy change. Because effectively, there is nothing in that intersection of race and disability that talks about the culturally nuanced way in which there is varied presentation of our children, right? There's nothing there. That training doesn't exist. It should. It's very important for our children especially, but it doesn't. But that's not coming. It's not coming. We're barely getting support for SEN children in general. Let's be very clear here. So if you really want that change to happen, this needs to happen. We need to be loud and clear about what we want, and we need to work for it. And they don't always respond in the way that we need them to. That's the sad reality.
And the research absolutely exists, doesn't it? I know that there are
research
reports that set it all out exactly, the experiences.
Yes, I'm on both sides. I'm on social care, foster care for 25 years. Still fighting for vulnerable children. They're supposed to be the most vulnerable children in society. But I still have to fight on their behalf to obtain EHCPs for them. So I'm also early years, we have a setting. Once the parent comes in for even a viewing, we ask them, do you have any concerns about your child? They might say no, but on that viewing, we can identify that the child is going to need support. So we have the conversation with the parents. We complete our observations and our assessments. We write reports, we invite the parents in, we have conversations, we start the SEN support plan. Once we do a 6-week cycle, 8-week cycle, the graduated approach, we then inform the inclusion team. Now the inclusion team will come in. The reports that I write, as soon as you walk in that room, you have to identify the child. I don't want any educational psychologist to come in and say, oh, who's George? In that report, it's got so much information that as soon as you walk into that room, you can identify, oh, that's George over there. The children leave our setting, the nursery, with an EHCP in place. So that once they go into reception, I'm going to fight for my children. Once they go into reception, they have that plan. We liaise with the schools so that that plan is still in place. And it's about how passionate we are for the children. I've gone to SEN conferences. Well, I'm the only black one there. And I'm thinking, who's fighting for our black children? We have to fight for our children. In our nursery, we don't just support the children, we support the parents. Some of our parents have mental health issues. They have SEN themselves, and they're unaware of where to turn. So we provide coffee mornings for the parents so that they can understand the neurodiversity of their child. We encourage them to look at the strengths of their children, because sometimes the strengths can override the needs, isn't it? So it's about supporting the parents, the children. That's what we're about in our setting. I make sure that all the staff is up to date with legislations, the different changes and policies and procedures, so that we're all supporting the children. As soon as that child walks in, that support has to be put in place.
This is my son's, the PDA for the school, the committee, because there's things like this, because I find that there's going in to schools, there is so much that is not there, and I'm finding that with a lot of schools, because I've been volunteering at my son's school for over 6 months now, and I did it because I've seen, like, some parents will come to me, because I'm coming from education myself, but I find that there's so much lack in regards to the Department of SEN and like the awareness of what is out there. So I'm there helping. I'm off work due to sick, but I'm having to be doing things within the school to give acknowledgement and knowledge just to help parents that are in, like, they don't know what's going on. They don't know. And this is what's going on right now.
I think, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, we're in the process of developing a sensory mobile that navigates through the community, so that those who are excluded from school, disadvantaged from getting the support, that mobile is going to travel to them. We're also developing a consultancy service for parents. So it's about obtaining the consultations, what they're supposed to do, next steps, isn't it? Because it's about you giving even having meetings with parents. They're none the wiser of the needs of their child. So it's for us that has the children, the majority of the day, is to identify these are the needs. Because some children, as you talk about masking, some children behave differently in the home environment until the education environment. And some of the things that the parents are talking about, we don't identify in the setting, and vice versa. So it's about coming together and looking and seeing what support can we provide for this individual child that displays behaviour in different areas.
It's about that holistic support.
That he needs support one-to-one. They weren't really going into enough detail, and that's why it kept getting turned down. And so when he started school, it was the same problem. Like, they never had the EHCP plan. It took nearly, like, till he was in year 1 for them to literally get the ball rolling. They were just saying different things. They were putting him in the nursery that was attached to the school, which wasn't really helping because he's mixing with children that are younger than him. I just said to the school, what can you do to sort out this problem, because this can't really run anymore. Like, he's mixing with kids that are younger than them. They said, we know we're struggling to get him throughout the whole day. They actually admitted to me that they're struggling. So I'm thinking, well, why might we get him declined the EHC plan if you lot are struggling and you're voicing this to the local authorities, what's going on here? So I ended up being frustrated as the parent, and it was starting to impact my mental health because like these things, there's so much things that just get misread and unseen, and it's like they just shove it under the carpet. So like I said to them, we need to find a way to sort this out. Like, I shouldn't really have to be telling you like how to do your job. You lot are trained professionals. Like, that's frustrating. And eventually he got his EHC plan, but it just took a lot of making up noise, and yes, I did have to be that aggressive, angry parent to get my point across, because they were just not listening. They weren't listening to what I had to say. Felt like I was being thrown from pillar to post. They weren't taking it seriously. And you know, another incident happened last year with my son at school, which shows me that they just couldn't be bothered to deal with the proper deal with the incident, so they decided to do what they wanted to do instead of following the school's procedures and the policy. Like, basically they phoned me saying that I need to come and get him. I said, well, I can't come and get him now, I'm in a meeting. And they said, well, you need to come and get him ASAP because my stuff not safe, like they're trying to make it out like he's being violent and hitting out. So I just said, well, what's going on? Why has he become so dysregulated, or why he's throwing things? What's going on here? Because he's never displayed that behaviour at home. They couldn't answer the question. They said that he was just, he flooded one of the classrooms, he hit out another teacher, he threw his shoes. So I said, something triggered.
All behaviour abnormal.
For a reaction to come.
Yeah, over here, and then the lady in the corner with the cream as well.
I just wanted to say I agree with videoing very much, but if it's a meltdown, I'm begging you, don't do it blatantly to your child, because they're in the most vulnerable state they can be in. And I don't know what I'd do if I was in a meltdown and someone was putting a camera in my face. Also, please, I know the validation sometimes as a parent you feel that you need it. Don't put it on social media. Because the amount of parents I see that are putting it on social media, they're exposing their child in one of their most vulnerable moments to the whole world, so they can go, oh, look what I deal with. It's not on. That's it, just don't do that.
If your children are not old enough,
in the wider communities. So what I try to do is the parents that are willing to share their children in those moments, I will flood the comments with support that I see them. I validate those parents. Do you know why? Because I don't want to have to expose my children on the internet in their moments. But someone needs to teach the wider world what our children's going through.
I'd agree. I'd agree. I would agree, but
I wouldn't do it to my own, and I wouldn't.
No, I don't condone anyone doing it.
Already willing to, and it's
yeah, but their child hasn't consented to it. That's the thing, isn't
That's
it?
the key point. Sorry to cut
Yeah,
you.
that's all right.
Whenever I do something, because my child is out in the public,
Yeah.
I am very conscious of the fact that she is going to grow up and she is going to
Yeah,
see
internet is
me every-
forever. Once it's
so
there.
I don't disagree with you, but I completely.
I
also
don't
say
give
that-
the parent permission to post.
No,
I'm just
I get
saying
that.
in those spaces,
just very
I'm
quickly,
positive.
and I don't know how we are for time. There was a lady in the corner over there.
Got about
Was
3
there?
minutes.
Yes, okay, and then there were two hands over here again.
That's kind of how I built my community on TikTok, and at a point I wasn't as educated. So my daughter is 4 now, so I'm 4 years into the journey, and I was in such an isolated place at the time, and I come from a Nigerian background, and you don't talk too much, or it's like, oh, she's gonna be fine, and whereas I'm living in this situation, my family don't understand. I reached out to social media in a place at a place where I was at my most vulnerable and didn't know where to go. And that's how I built my community. That's how I met so many women, and that's what I wanted to say. Like, now in my journey, I wouldn't actually film my daughter, her meltdowns, but at a point where I didn't understand this, I didn't understand her, I didn't understand myself, I didn't know where I was going. I was just in a really depressed place. And that was my only way of, I just needed to find someone that understood what I was going through. So that's what it was for me. That was
Have you taken the videos down now?
No, it's still there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you going to take them down, the meltdown ones?
It's not really excessive though. Like, it's just literally her. Why I think it's good to be up there, because it's educational. So for example, when I go out with my daughter, she hasn't got her words, so she would cry and throw herself, right? When someone sees that, and you see it on social media in the comments, you see a lot of people saying, oh, she's a spoiled brat, and she's a this, and she's a that, and no, she's not. And that's how I felt when I was going out. I felt embarrassed to go out with my daughter, thinking, oh, everybody's gonna look at her like that. So in that, there's one specific video that went viral where she wanted to go on a bouncy castle, and the woman told her to wait. Now, my daughter doesn't understand wait. So she's literally had a meltdown, so she's crying and she's flinging herself. And then in that video, you can see me literally carrying her on my back and trying to console her. So that's the video. So in that video, you see lots of people saying, oh, why are you rewarding her for her bad behavior? Why are you doing this for that? And it's like, no, that's not what I'm doing. She understands completely different to a neurotypical child. She doesn't understand what weight is. So that video is up. I feel like it's educational. Like, it's not like a...
It's not your job to educate people, though.
Yeah, but I feel like...
But it's good to create that awareness.
I get that, I do. I'm just thinking about the exposure of the vulnerable moment.
I personally believe that, obviously, as a parent, and it's your child, and it's your, and especially as I'm a single mum, and I've been raising my son for by myself. If I choose to share something, irrespective of me knowing my son and knowing that it's from a good place and it's not a thing of I'm showing you to show that my son's bad, I believe that I'm content with that. And no one can tell me I'm wrong for doing that, because the amount of mums that I've connected with who then shared with something that my son's done, it took me last year to finally open up about my son's needs because of other mothers. If I didn't see what I see now and the power of social media, I wouldn't be.
Can I mention something?
No, I do understand that. I just worry about their autonomy.
So I think it also depends on what you're comfortable with. I believe the things that I share, I haven't really shared anything like that. But if I want to, I know it's coming from a good place.
No, I get it's coming. I'm just thinking about the child's autonomy and their consent.
But you have to understand, like I said, for example, myself as a single mom, doing this every day by myself, where there's no one there to be that extra hand, to be like, okay, he's having a meltdown, let me do that. By me sharing that, someone can come in and give me an idea of how to handle that situation.
I think just
and that's what it is.
I think we just have to be balanced and reasonable proportion about what we do. In my case, it's medical, so I need the practitioners to and I've not put my child out there medically, but I need it's for the professionals to see. So I have legal recourse down the line when I need it. But I absolutely, this is what I was saying earlier. I agree. I think it is up to the parent. We do have to think of the child. We have to trust ourselves to know what we're doing. Marsha, because you're the chair, and then the lady over here.
There's a couple of things. One, there's something pertinent in the black community that we're just trying to find our way out of, and it's just this area of shame about disability. Rather than say the child, they say about you as a parent and your children. And so I think it really speaks to that particular culture that we come from, whereby people might feel the need to say, this is me, this is us, this is how my child is. And then other people are receiving that because no one's been speaking about it. It's a thing of shame, it's taboo. But that in itself, it feels elating, it feels freeing, and that's why people are kind of clamoring towards that. Let's show, let's see, let's talk, have that conversation. That's part of the evolution, because we want to get to the point whereby we no longer need to do that because we're so wholly accepting of the SEN community that all we need to do is just speak about the meltdown that my child had and what I did to support that meltdown, and we don't need to show it. So this is part of the evolution. Evolution takes time. I feel where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think we're just trying to get there because as a community we're so far back as far as conversations, openness surrounding disability and our children, our parenting being coming into question. That's a massive thing. So it's about trying to dispel all of that, the ignorance surrounding it. And I know one way through which people are found to do that is by taking videos or by watching some videos of people that look like us. Their children look like our children, and they're going through the same thing, and there's actually healing in that. But that's just a pit stop in the evolution of what we want to achieve, because we don't want to always be showing our children to the That's just part of the learning, so we can get to the process, to the point of the process whereby we don't have to do that. We can just say, this is what happened, this is how I address it, this is how you can address it, and that's it. So we're getting there.
So
Slowly.
any